This haunted house will pay you $20,000 if you can make it all the way through, but if you think that's an easy paycheck, you should know there's a reason why nobody's ever won. The McCamey Manor looks like a pretty normal house on the outside, but on the inside is where the nightmares live. The house takes about 8 to 10 hours to complete, but the longest someone's ever lasted is only 6 hours. That's because participants are physically tortured to the point where they can only be released if they're deemed to be on the brink of death. Participants are punched, slapped, have their hair ripped out, and are forced to eat disgusting things like rotten eggs. And participants are even waterboarded, which is a torture method that the CIA used to use but stopped because it was too brutal. You're probably wondering how this is legal. Well, the house is run by a man named Russ McCamey, who gives all of his participants a 40-page waiver that they have to sign, which details that they could be fatally injured. Even though people have suffered broken bones, irreversible mental trauma, and heart attacks in the manor, it's still deemed legal. At one point, a Navy SEAL decided to go to the manor to see how much torture it really was. Reportedly, after 6 hours, he was still ready to charge on, but Russ kept dunking him in cold water and said he had hypothermia and disqualified him, which has led people to believe that there actually is no prize money, and petitions have been made to shut this place down. It's literally a torture chamber, but because it's free and a ton of people get bored, there's a waitlist of 25,000 people waiting to try this out. Every experience is fully recorded and posted on YouTube, but I can't show any footage here because it's way too graphic.
Horrifying facts that will ruin your day. Around 250,000 people every year die of complications during surgery. So you might go into a surgery and never wake up again. There are over 200 different corpses at the top of Mount Everest that will never decompose. If you die in your own home, your fluffy cat will eat you in order to stay alive. Believe it or not, there is a tumor out there that can grow hair, teeth, and even eyeballs. A human head remains conscious 20 minutes after the head has been decapitated, which means that you can still see and hear after your head is chopped off. Follow now and get 100 puppies on your doorstep because you know they won't eat you, unlike those cats. Hey, thanks guys.
I bet you didn't know this creature once existed, and you're glad it's extinct. For now. This is the Titan boa. Scientists say that if the Earth's temperature rises, it's possible that the Titan boa could come back. This is the biggest snake to ever exist, at 42.7 feet, weighing in at 1.25 tons, or 2,500 pounds. It's about 60 million years old. The Titan boa was found in South America. It ate very little, but when it did, it ate crocodiles, boa constrictors, cobras, and pythons. The Titan boa could crush its prey with a jaw force of 400 pounds per square inch. And let's not forget, it could also wrap its body around you and constrict you into mush.
The disturbing, still unsolved case of Mr. Cruel has kept me up for quite a while. Mr. Cruel was responsible for 3 attacks between 1987 and 1990 in the suburbs of Melbourne, Australia. During all of his attacks, he wore a balaclava to cover his identity. In each attack, he broke into the house either very late at night or early in the morning and tied up either all of the family or some members of the family. But in each case, the target was unfortunately the family's young daughter, who was between the ages of 10 to 13 depending on the case. In 2 of the cases, the young daughter was actually abducted and kept out of the home for hours before eventually being returned. In 1988, he abducted a 10-year-old girl and released her 18 hours later, and in 1990, he abducted a 13-year-old girl and released her 50 hours later. Authorities also think that Mr. Cruel might be responsible for the 1991 killing of 13-year-old Carmen Chan. Chan actually went to school with another one of Mr. Cruel's victims. Sadly, unlike the rest of Mr. Cruel's cases, Carmen Chan did not return with her life. But like I said, this case has not been definitively connected to Mr. Cruel. Disturbingly, Mr. Cruel is believed to have taken photographs or even videos of his attacks. His attacks were very thought out and well planned, and authorities think that maybe he stalked those particular families before he attacked them. All of his planning has sadly made it a lot more difficult for authorities to track down his true identity. Some of his victims have given accounts of what his house looked like this picture of what his bedroom looks like. But because he was wearing a balaclava over his face, there's not many identifying details to be known. However, as of recently, as in March of 2022, there have been some possible links made between the attacker and the electrical industry in Melbourne. Mr. Cruel's second victim was dropped off near an electrical substation, and 2 of Mr. Cruel's victims also lived near substations. Carmen Chan's remains were also found near a substation, and additionally, Carmen and one of Mr. Cruel's other victims both attended that same school, which was across the road from a substation. Perhaps Mr. Cruel was a substation employee, or he lived nearby. Sadly, this is about as much of an update as we have right now. The official task force about finding Mr. Cruel's identity was sadly disbanded in the 90s, but if any more information comes to light, authorities are very interested in looking more into it. If you lived around the area during this time, what are your thoughts? Do you remember any of the craziness going on in the newspapers? I know some people mentioned in the comments of my original video that they were terrified as they were children at the time and were scared that they and their families would be targeted by Mr. Cruel. If Mr. Cruel is still alive, I think the world is ready for some justice. And so for the sake of the families involved, I hope 2022 is the year that we finally solve the Mr. Cruel case.
You guys are not ready for this. And if you're new to my page, welcome to Creepy Talk. This girl had recently just turned 16 years old, got a car, and could finally drive herself to school. So it's midweek, a beautiful spring day, and this girl just wakes up and starts getting ready for school. She puts on her clothes that she had laid out the night before, which was a floral t-shirt and jean skirt. She then goes in her mom's room, who happens to be putting on makeup. She tells her to use purple lip gloss because berry colors looked good with the eyeshadow that she had picked out. She then kisses her cheek and just casually tells her that her part-time job is serving meatloaf that night. After she leaves her mother's room, she goes in the kitchen and sees her dad. He happened to be peeling an orange, so she took a slice from him. They then had a conversation about how they both agreed that organic oranges tasted better and that her mother should buy them more often. She then pets her dog, he drools all over her shoes, and she calls him nasty. Grabs her backpack, her pencils fall out, she picks them up, and leaves. Her drive to school was on a 2-lane road that had a drop-off on either side. She's jamming out to the song Oughta Know by Alanis Morissette. And suddenly she sees a Yukon coming down the hill straight towards her. It drives into her lane, and she swears this person had like no eyes. She said all she saw is a white-skinned person, no eyes, no hair. She swerves into the other lane. It also swerves into the other lane, and they get in a head-on collision. She opens her eyes after the crash, and she is back in her bed. She thought to herself that was really real, but she just chalked it up to be a dream. But then she sees that her same floral shirt and jean skirt are laid out, so she puts them on. She goes in her mom's room, and her mom's doing the exact same thing with the exact same makeup. And they had the same conversation. She then goes in the kitchen, and her dad is peeling an orange. Same conversation. She then pets her dog. And you guessed it, he drools on her shoes. She then gets her backpack, and her pencils fall out just like in her dream. So at this point, she goes back in the kitchen and tells her dad, "I'm not feeling well, I am not going to school." Her gut was telling her that something was wrong. So she goes back and lays down. About an hour later, her mom calls her from her office. She tells her that there was a terrible crash on the road that she would have been driving on the way to school, and it's a good thing that she stayed home because it could have been her. She then goes on to say, "It was the weirdest thing ever. I have always felt like God or something has had a hand on my back guiding me." But she has never told anyone about this experience because she feared that they would think that she's crazy. She says, "But it's completely true and completely reality to me, and I'm very thankful to be alive."
These kids went exploring, and they think they might have stumbled upon the real-life Fredbear's Family Diner. Now, in this footage above me, it shows 2 kids exploring a abandoned building. But it's what they find in this building that makes them question everything. As they're exploring, they begin to see a bunch of weird things, like an old animatronic, weird paintings on the wall, and voices from the walls. Now, this is only 5 minutes into their exploration, but they look through a peephole in the wall and they see 2 glowing eyes, just like the ones in Five Nights at Freddy's. So they leave, but when they go back for a second look at the place, you won't believe what they see. Hit the plus button for part 2. These kids went exploring, and they think they might have stumbled upon the real-life Fredbear's Family Diner. Now, after their first exploration, they go again just to see if they will find anything else. Now, this building is in the middle of nowhere, so they get lost looking for it again. But when they eventually find it and walk inside of it, things are different. There's new painting on the walls, and a bunch of other weird noises coming from within the building. And the old animatronic they stumbled upon from their first exploration is now gone. In the footage they're exploring, and this is right when they leave the room in which the old animatronic was in. Here is the footage. For some reason, they begin running and panicking in extreme terror, and then the video shortly ends. What do you guys think happened? Comment it in the comment section, and hit the plus button for more scary videos just like this.
Yo, Fedo, you good, bro?
Yeah. It's just hot, bro.
Hot. Yo, Pharaoh, are you sure, bro?
Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Yo, bro, you need to go to the doctor?
No. We good. We good.
All right, bro. Yo, bro, are you good?
Yeah. It's hot. It's just water.
All right, bro. Yo, bro, are you good?
Yeah.
All right, bro. Let's go. Come on now, bro.
Yeah.
Parents of Reddit, what is the creepiest thing your young child has ever said to you? I was tucking in my 2-year-old. He said, "Goodbye, Dad." I said, "No, we say good night." He said, "I know, but this time it's goodbye." Had to check on him a few times to make sure he was still there. My kid's Catholic school is over 100 years old. There is a basement under the gym that's used for storage. I was subbing once and during recess one of the kickballs goes down the stairs. A little girl was standing at the top of the stairs yelling, "Just throw it up to me." I went over and asked who she was talking to and she replied, "That big man down the stairs." I went down and there was nobody down there and it was the only way in. I asked some of the other kids if they have seen the man before and they said yes, but sister told us not to talk to him. I asked them to describe sister and they described the nun and there haven't been nuns at the school in 40 years. Go back to sleep, there isn't anything under your bed. Has behind you now. Still haven't gotten over that one and shiver at the memory.